Hey everybody, welcome back. I just wanted to talk about something I have found very humorous throughout the years, and that is drug testing in the workplace. Now, I've been working since going way back to high school, since 1996, and that was the first time that I ever got drug tested. In most workplaces to this day, I'm not sure with women, but with men, most of them still do the urine test. There was only one workplace where I had to do a hair test. That wasn't from my head, it was from somewhere else, which I'll get into in a few minutes here. But um, the urine test, and the same thing I think with the swab. I worked at Costco back in 2017, and I had to do like a saliva swab. And from what I understand about that, it will only show up if you, with marijuana, it will only show up if you've done it within the last like few days. And same thing with the urine test. And it just surprises me that so many people are that addicted that they can't even, so many people I've known of men, not women, because women, I think you have hair long enough, they could do a hair test and it will show up if you've done it within the last 6 to 8 months, something like that, or at least the last 3 months. But it just, I understand that, but it just surprises me that there's guys that can't go for like more than 3 days without smoking weed to pass a drug test. So I find it pretty humorous. So we're going all the way back to high school. I knew most of the people at this workplace. I worked at a retirement home, and most of the people that worked there were people I went to high school with. I knew who all the drug addicts were, all the weed smokers, and there were quite a few people, like guys I knew that failed, that applied, and I'm thinking like, oh, they're not going to get in, and sure enough, they didn't. There were a couple guys that got in, and it's like, yeah, I saw them was starting to work there, and I didn't say anything to them. I think in my mind, I'm like, yep, you definitely cheated. And I did get randomly tested once at my the first job I had when I was out of college. I worked at a casino, and again, it was a urine test, and I did to get the job there. I did take drug screening, pre-employment, and then I was working there for about a year, and I did get randomly tested. But someone told me like, oh, there was no random testing. Isn't really random testing. Someone said you probably said something or did something to give somebody a reason to think that you were using drugs. There's probably a reason that you got tested. It wasn't really random, and obviously I passed. And there was one guy that he interviewed, and this was at a restaurant at a casino, and I went to high school and college with this guy, and I knew he had been in and out of drug rehab for years. I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm thinking to myself like, oh man, he's probably not gonna get hired. And sure enough, I found out that he didn't pass the drug test. And there was another job, I think, they said show up with a full bladder, and I drank a bunch of water, obviously too much. I did the urine test at this medical clinic, and the nurse or tech, whatever, kind of rolled her eyes at me because when I gave her the urine sample, she could tell that my urine was diluted, I'm sorry. And she said like, oh, just so you, she rolled her eyes at me, and she thought I was trying to fake it, I guess. And she said, oh, just so you know, your urine is extremely diluted. She said, if, don't be surprised, they might make you retake this. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they didn't make me retake it. And I did have one job where I had to give, because obviously my hair is real short, and even it's not long enough, they needed a hair follicles, and they said, oh, we could take it from your head, but it's going to leave spots, it's going to leave bald spots. So they said, we're going to have to do body hair or something like that. So, and it was a cheap razor too. I actually accidentally cut myself. It was one of those, it wasn't a good razor, it was a cheap disposable razor. So I went to this clinic, and I was like shaving my arms first, and shaved like all the hair off of my arms. And I'm like, is that enough? Is that enough? And I actually cut my leg. And they said, oh, that's not quite enough. We need more. We need more. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to go for my legs. And I started shaving my legs, and I couldn't use any lotion or any water or anything. It just had to be done dry. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And ended up cutting my leg in the process. But the funny thing is, I guess I worked at a jail for 10 years, and they didn't, they did a very extensive I'm not sure how far back, but they did I'm not sure if they went into I think your juvenile records once you turn 18 are concealed. but I did do pretty extensive background checks on people to get the job. There were a lot of people that didn't pass the background check, but they didn't do drug testing. It's really surprising that a county jail, wouldn't do drug testing, and they didn't do random drug testing either. Um, I guess they figured, because I know tons of people in high school that were drug users and never got arrested. And this jail, this county, and I worked at another county jail too. I worked at two different county jails. They didn't do drug testing. That they did a criminal background check, but I guess they just figured like, oh, if you've been arrested, or if you've done drugs, if it's just marijuana, you've probably been arrested. But obviously that's not true. I've known tons of people that have done drugs more than marijuana that never got arrested. So yeah, I definitely found it to be pretty humorous over the years. And I did work at one warehouse that did drug testing and urine test. I think that's where my urine was diluted. And I do remember one guy that got randomly, I think they must have suspected he was doing it. And I knew that he was doing weed, and he didn't even bother. When he got randomly tested, he just turned in his badge and he shook the boss's hand. And he said, "Oh, nice working with you." You know, he's like, "I'm not going to waste anybody's time." And he just walked out. And there was another girl that she was a big weed smoker, and she got randomly tested. And she, I guess, called her friends, told them what was going on. And she was at Walgreens he was actually going to show up to do the test. But she had really long hair, so they would have definitely done the hair test on her, I think. She was trying to find a detox kit, and she was in Walgreens, and someone said, like, "Oh, don't you bother. Like, there's no way that you get yourself detoxed if you're going to do the random drug test in the next couple hours. There's no way you can detoxify yourself that quickly." So, yeah, I did find it pretty humorous. But yeah, that's my experience on drug testing, random drug testing in the workplace over the last 27 years. And yeah, I guess the common tests, it's really weird that you think that they would do, because the hair, it'll show up within like the last like few months. So you think it would do more hair testing even on men, but they still, for men, are doing the piss test and the saliva swab. So yeah, that's my experience. All I have to say about that on drug testing, random drug testing. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all real soon with another video. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you all soon. Bye.